Many people heard the news about the 2026 Social Security increase and felt a brief moment of relief. A raise, after all, sounds like good news. It suggests progress. It suggests protection. It suggests that things are moving in the right direction. But once the initial announcement faded, a different feeling settled in for many retirees. Confusion, discomfort, and a quiet question that kept coming back. Why does this still feel like a pay cut? On paper, a cost of living adjustment is meant to help benefits keep pace with inflation. The idea is simple. As prices rise, income rises too, so purchasing power stays roughly the same. But lived experience tells a different story. Many people notice that even with increases, their money doesn't seem to go as far as it used to. This disconnect between what the numbers say and how life actually feels is at the heart of the frustration. For many retirees, the problem isn't just whether Social Security increases. It's whether those increases reflect the real costs they face every day. Grocery bills, utility bills, insurance premiums, healthcare expenses, property taxes. These are not abstract figures. They are monthly realities. When people hear about a Social Security raise, they often assume it will cover rising costs across the board. But inflation doesn't affect all expenses equally. Some costs rise much faster than others, and retirees tend to feel those increases more sharply. Healthcare is a major example. Medical costs often rise faster than general inflation, and they consume a larger share of a retiree's budget. Even small increases in premiums, co-pays, or out-of-pocket expenses can erase the benefit of a Social Security adjustment almost immediately. Housing is another area where retirees feel pressure. Property taxes, maintenance, insurance, and utilities continue to rise even when income feels fixed. Downsizing isn't always simple or affordable. Renting isn't always cheaper. And moving later in life can feel emotionally and physically overwhelming. So, while the headline says raise, daily life often says something else. Another reason Social Security increases can feel disappointing is timing. Adjustments usually reflect inflation that has already happened, not what is currently happening or what's coming next. By the time benefits increase, prices may already have risen again. This creates a sense of always being one step behind. For retirees who rely heavily on Social Security as a primary income source, this lag can be especially stressful. There's little room to absorb higher costs. Budgets are already tight. Savings may be limited. And unlike working years, there's no easy way to increase income. That lack of flexibility is one of the hardest parts of retirement for many people. During working years, higher costs could sometimes be offset with overtime, a new role, or additional income streams. In retirement, income is often fixed, predictable, and difficult to adjust. Even small changes in expenses can feel significant. This is why a modest increase can feel underwhelming or even discouraging. It's not that people expect luxury. It's that they expect stability. There's also an emotional layer to this reaction. Social Security represents more than money. For many, it represents security, reliability, a promise made after decades of contribution. When increases don't seem to keep up with reality, it can feel like that promise is weakening. That feeling creates anxiety, even when the system is technically functioning as designed. Another factor that shapes perception is how people compare their lives now to what they imagined retirement would be like. Many expected their costs to decrease significantly. Fewer work-related expenses, simpler living, less pressure. But in practice, many expenses don't disappear. They shift. Transportation costs may change. Healthcare becomes more prominent. Home-related costs remain. And new expenses appear, often unexpectedly. This gap between expectation and reality can make any increase feel inadequate. There's also the issue of taxation. For some retirees, a portion of Social Security benefits is taxable depending on overall income. When benefits increase, taxes can increase as well, reducing the net gain. This can lead to the uncomfortable experience of seeing a higher benefit amount on paper, but very little change in take-home income. For people who planned carefully, this can feel frustrating. They did what they were supposed to do. They saved. They contributed. They planned. Yet the math still feels tight. A Another overlooked aspect is how inflation is calculated. The index used to adjust Social Security benefits doesn't always reflect the spending patterns of retirees. It's based on a broader population, not specifically older adults. That means it may underrepresent the very expenses retirees spend most on, particularly healthcare. So while adjustments are technically accurate within the system's framework, they may not feel accurate in daily life. This disconnect fuels the feeling that a raise is actually a loss. There's also a psychological effect at play. When people hear increase, expectations rise. When reality doesn't meet those expectations, disappointment feels sharper than if there had been no announcement at all. The contrast creates emotional friction. Some retirees respond by cutting back further. Others grow anxious about the future. Many quietly worry about what will happen if costs rise faster next year or the year after that. These worries are rarely dramatic. They're quiet, persistent, and often unspoken. People don't always talk about this openly because it feels uncomfortable to complain about receiving benefits. There's a sense that one should be grateful, that others have it worse. That worrying is unnecessary. But concern doesn't mean ingratitude. It means awareness. Many retirees begin to ask deeper questions after experiencing this gap. Questions about sustainability, about longevity, about whether their income will truly support them for the rest of their lives. These questions often surface gradually, not at the moment of retirement, but years into it. Another reason Social Security increases feel insufficient is that they don't account for lifestyle changes. As people age, needs evolve. Healthcare usage increases. Support services may become necessary. Transportation needs may change. These shifts add costs that weren't present earlier. A system designed to maintain purchasing power broadly may struggle to keep pace with these personal changes. This creates a sense of vulnerability. Even when benefits rise, uncertainty remains. For those approaching retirement, watching current retirees struggle with this reality can be sobering. It challenges assumptions. It raises doubts. It prompts reconsideration of timing and strategy. Some people begin to think more carefully about when to claim benefits. Others consider part-time work. Some revisit budgets with a more cautious lens. These adjustments aren't signs of failure. They're signs of adaptation. The important thing to understand is that feeling disappointed by a Social Security increase doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you're paying attention. The system was never designed to provide comfort or abundance. It was designed to provide a foundation, a base, a starting point. Problems arise when that foundation is mistaken for a complete solution. Many retirees who feel the most pressure are those who expected Social Security to carry more weight than it realistically can. Not because they were careless, but because messaging around retirement often oversimplifies the picture. Retirement planning is often presented as a checklist. Save enough, claim benefits, enjoy life. But real life is messy. Costs fluctuate, needs change, emotions evolve. A Social Security increase, no matter how well-intentioned, can't resolve all of that. What it can do is serve as a reminder to stay engaged with your finances, to review budgets regularly, to think about flexibility, to consider options before they become urgent. For some, that means reassessing spending. For others, it means exploring part-time income. For others, it means revisiting long-term plans with fresh eyes. None of these responses mean failure, they mean realism. The most important shift many retirees make is moving from expectation to awareness, from assuming stability to actively managing it. This shift doesn't eliminate worry, but it reduces surprise, and surprise is often what causes the most stress. For those still working or newly retired, the lesson isn't that Social Security is unreliable, it's that it's incomplete. It works best as part of a broader plan, not as the plan itself. Understanding this early can prevent disappointment later. When people say a raise feels like a pay cut, what they're really expressing is a gap between hope and reality, between what they imagined retirement income would feel like and what it actually feels like. Acknowledging that gap is not pessimistic. It's honest, and honesty is what allows better decisions. Retirement is not about perfection. It's about adaptability, about finding balance between security and flexibility, about adjusting expectations without giving up peace of mind. A Social Security increase may not solve every problem, but it can prompt important conversations with yourself, with your family, with professionals. Those conversations matter more than the number itself. Because the real challenge of retirement isn't just managing money, it's managing uncertainty. And learning to navigate that uncertainty calmly, thoughtfully, and realistically is what makes the second act sustainable. This is why conversations like this matter. Not to create fear, but to reduce it. This is the approach we take on the second act finance: thoughtful, grounded reflections that help you understand what's really happening beneath the headlines, so you can make steady, confident decisions in life's next chapter.